Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digi Finance video. So I'm looking all the way back at UUTI and even though they kind of like dipped through the month of December and I thought that they would stop doing these weekly sales rankings, it appears that I was wrong and they continued throughout the month of January and February. So we have 4 of their articles to go through and there's definitely a lot of interesting data points that we could pull from to kind of see what is happening in Japan in terms of their secondary market and how that might affect our secondary market in English. So starting off with the time period of January 1st through the 15th, we could see that the top selling SR is Chaosmon Volderarm. So we kind of knew that yellow was on the incline and definitely green was also on the incline. This was before the limited announcement that they are going to be hitting Argamon and Hidden Potential. So definitely a lot of attention was on Chaosmon as he goes in both of those colors and is an insanely powerful level 7 for each of those colors to be playing around with. So that's probably why during this time period he was the best-selling SR. And then in terms of the best-selling rare, we could see that it is Marcus. So this is kind of an interesting one considering at this time, we were just seeing a little bit of spoilers from the Battle of Omni, and we already knew that it was going to be an Omnimon-based set. And on top of which, Shine Greymon is a very, very powerful deck for both yellow and red. The red variant is definitely a really interesting build, but regardless, it definitely shows that a lot of people had attention on the red variant, and not only for the fact that he has synergy with Shine Greymon, but more just generic Greymon synergy, and that's probably why a lot of people are picking up this card, because they could probably guess that there's going to be more Greymon synergy in BT05, which there is. And then we could see that the best-selling uncommon in this time period is Bushi Agumon. So this really shouldn't come as a surprise as more people were playing yellow, and Bushi Agumon is definitely a really powerful card just because he has the rush ability where he could basically attack right away, and then yellow just has so many ways to just cheat in their level 3s that you don't even have to pay his cost in order to utilize his rush ability, and that just makes this card really, really powerful because it's just a great aggro tool. And then the best-selling common during this time period is going to be the Purple Gabumon. So this is probably just because the Purple Rookie Rush was on the incline, just because Purple just has so many valuable cards in their level 3 slot that they built their own Rookie Rush variant, and definitely this is a good card that could go in it, just because it has some relatively decent stats. Now, if we hop over to the time period of January 16th through the 27th, we definitely can see this type of trend continue, where the top-selling SR is going to still be Chaosmon Volderarm, just because there is a lot of attention on yellow and green at this time, and again, his ability is really, really powerful, where you get to minus 7,000 DP twice. So you could stack this up to kill one big thing, or you could kill 2 relatively decently sized bodies or smaller. So that's a part of the big ability on why people are picking up this card, is because he's just a very powerful control type card, on top of which he also has another really nice ability where he has an on delete ability of just being able to gain 3 memory. So this just combined makes him a very, very powerful card, especially in 2 of the most powerful colors at this time period. And then we could still see that the best-selling rare during this time period is Marcus. So people are still willing and wanting to pick up red, considering, again, we already know that there's going to be more Greymon support, and this is just a really good tamer for that Greymon support. By allowing you to just rest him whenever one of your Digimon with Greymons attacks, then you just gain 1 memory, on top of the fact that he is a memory-fixing tamer. So he's just a really good card for red to be playing around with if you're utilizing any form of Greymon, which the majority of red decks at this point are. Next up, for the best-selling uncommon in this time period, we have Gigamon. So Gigamon is a pretty solid Digimon, considering around this time period is when we had Megidramon spoiled, and Megidramon is a card that interacts with Chaos Gallantmon as well as the normal Gallantmon. So people are definitely thinking about wanting to pick up the normal Gallantmon stuff, and Gigamon is just a really good Digitama for that, just because, again, Magidramon's ability just automatically turns Gigamon's ability online, and that's just some really, really powerful synergy to think about. So people are definitely looking at a whole bunch of different things that they can build based on the information that they have spoiled from BT05, and it definitely looks like around this time period is more so when BT05 is definitely influencing what people are picking up. And then the best-selling common during this time period is going to be Pedomon. So Pedomon is just an overall really fantastic card, considering he is a yellow blocker that has an evo cost of 1. So his stats are already pretty good to warrant a lot of people wanting to pick him up, but on top of that, a lot of people are already starting to want to play more and more into yellow. So with all of the attention on yellow and the fact that they don't necessarily need Unimon anymore from the starter decks, and they have a blocker that they could pull from, definitely makes Pedomon a lot more appealing of a card to get, just because he's more easily accessible. And then on top of which, again, there's just a whole bunch more attention on yellow, considering they already knew that Crusadermon was going to be a thing, and yellow is definitely looking like it's going to continue to be a very strong color going into BT05. It definitely seems like more and more people are trying to pick up some of those yellow staple cards that really just help the deck along. Next, if we start looking at the time period of February 1st through February 15th, we definitely can see that more and more people are starting to buy cards based on what they think they want to play coming out of BT05, and the results are not really that surprising, to be completely honest. So the best-selling SR during this time period is going to be Diaboromon. So around this time period is when we had all of the new Diaboromon stuff spoiled, we had Armageddon spoiled, and it's just looking like the new Diaboromon deck is going to be very, very good and very, very powerful. And a lot of people are wanting to pick up a lot of the older pieces so that they could start playing the new version of the deck, because the old cards synergize really, really well with the new cards. And the new cards definitely bring a whole lot of life back into the deck, and as a result, the SR Diaboromon being the best-selling SR definitely shouldn't be that surprising, as more people are looking to figure out what they want to play. Now, the best-selling rare is kind of following the similar trend, where around this time period we had the Diaboromon stuff be spoiled. So, as I mentioned before, people are just wanting to pick up a lot of those older cards just because they synergize really, really well with a lot of the new cards. And Caramon is definitely a really powerful card for the deck to be playing around with, just because his ability to help you draw cards for playing Digimon of the same name synergize with all of the new ways that the deck can spawn Diaboromon tokens, on top of the old ways that the deck can spawn Diaboromon tokens off of the SR, so it definitely makes sense that Caramon is going to be the best-selling rare at this time period, because, again, a lot of people want to play this new Diaboromon deck. Next, for the best-selling uncommon in this time period, we have Sariman. So Sariman is, again, just filling that same type of trend that we saw with the last two cards, where people are just really wanting to play that new Diaboromon deck. And again, this is just another really fantastic piece to that deck, just because you have so many Digimon of the same name, on top of which it has all of the Diaboromon synergy with spawning Diaboromon tokens. And this card, similar to Caramon, is definitely looking to be very powerful, because this rewards you for gaining memory, and Caramon rewards you for drawing cards. So it only just makes sense that people are going to be picking up the Diaboromon stuff to complement the new stuff. And then the best-selling common at this time period is looking to be Blossomon. So Blossomon kind of only makes sense because green is still a very powerful color, on top of which it has the very powerful ability of Digisorption, where basically you just rest one of the other Digimon you have on your field, and then you basically reduce its cost by whatever the Digisorption ability is. So in this case, it's Digisorption of 3, which basically means he could evolve for 0, and that's still really, really powerful, and especially since around this time period we got the announcement that Argamon and Hidden Potentials is getting limited to 1, it definitely puts a lot more attention on Blossomon, because Blossomon, similar to Argamon, has the Digisorption ability to just easily tempo up into your higher levels even faster. So the fact that even though Argamon was hit, we still have Blossomon to utilize Digisorption to get into our higher levels is definitely probably why this is one of the better selling commons during this time period. And then lastly, we could see the top selling sales rankings for the time period of February 16th through February 24th. So this is the most recent article that they have posted with some of the more recent sales that they have all the way up until before BT05. So we could definitely see what people are really interested in based on this article. And as we can see with the best-selling SR, people are still looking to pick up a lot of the diaboromon stuff, and mainly diaboromon himself from BT02. And this diaboromon is just really, really good for the deck because he is one of the few ways that the deck can consistently spawn more and more tokens. So he has the really powerful on-attack ability where you basically just get to spawn a diaboromon token, which triggers all of your diaboromon synergy, and you could then utilize that token in many different ways with all of the new cards. So if you have the new Sariman under him, then the token can gain Rush, and then you could use that token to attack right away for even more pressure, or you could utilize that token to gain some memory, draw some cards, or you could utilize that token to act as sacrificial fodder to Armageddon, so that way you could just play an Armageddon for 3, and then Armageddon has the rush ability also, and he also can help shut out the opponent from having their level 7s potentially destroy diaboromon, so that way he is even harder to remove. So it only just makes sense that this diaboromon is really, really powerful, and definitely a card people are really wanting to pick up. And then the best-selling rare during this time period is going to be Infermon from BT02. So this version of Infermon is really, really nice because he has just, again, great synergy with the diaboromon stuff, and a lot of people are still looking to pick up the diaboromon stuff, so they are picking up what they can. And as we saw with the last article, they were picking up the Caramons, so this article they are now picking up the Infermons. So Infermon is really good for the diaboromon deck just because his ability to reduce the evolution cost of your diaboromon by 1 is just really, really powerful, because if we look at the new diaboromon, then he has an evo cost of 3, so this makes him have an evo cost of 2, and that's just, again, really, really powerful on tempo. And then on top of which, with the older diaboromons, so with the BT02 diaboromon, he makes him evolve for 3, which is a lot better than evolving for 4, and then he also interacts with the promo diaboromon, where he could make that diaboromon evolve for 2 as well. So this is just one of the better level 5s that the diaboromon deck could be playing around with, just because it makes evolving into your diaboromons that much easier, and with all of the attention on diaboromon, it definitely makes this card a really good card to pick up. And then we could see that the best-selling uncommon is still going to be Sariman, so this just shows that a lot of people are still looking to pick up the diaboromon cards, and the fact that this card hasn't changed, it definitely is a telling sign that a lot of people really want to play the new diaboromon deck, because the old tools and the new tools just synergize really, really well with each other. So I definitely think that this kind of just makes sense, and the deck is really good, so that's why people are buying it. And then the best-selling common during this time period has seemed to not change either, which is still going to continue to be Blossomon, just because of all of the same reasons before. The Digisorption ability is really good, especially with all of the nerfs that Green got with Argamon and Hidden Potential, and this is definitely a really good card to just utilize Digisorption with. So as we could see, the Japanese market is definitely prepping for BT05, and we could kind of see, not really similar trends, but we could kind of see some similar behavior over at the English market, where a lot of the English market is trying to prep for a lot of things as well. So if we take a look at what the English market is doing with diaboromon and his synergy, we could definitely see that he definitely was on the incline for a while, and he's looking to be a little bit more stable, because at like pre-sale he was only selling for like $8, and now he's all the way up to 15. So definitely people knowing that he is going to be getting support definitely made him a lot more enticing to buy into, and it definitely made him hold a lot more value than he initially did, because if we look at over on the Japanese side, the deck and card really wasn't doing anything up until now, so all of his new support definitely putting a lot more of a spotlight on him and his following support. Although his following support isn't really exactly holding too good of a value, but that's just because most of it is just lower rarity anyway. So that just is what it is. In terms of like noticing trends in our market, it definitely looks like a lot more people are starting to prep and plan for the coming sets. So another really hot card was Flower Cannon, where this card was selling for about $5 to $10, and then it recently just spiked because people knew that green, even though with the nerfs, is still going to be a very powerful color, and this is still one of the better options that green has available. So it definitely put a lot more attention onto it, so a lot more people were buying it up, and then as a result, its price was slowly increasing and increasing all the way up to the point where it is now, and that's just because people are starting to prep and plan for the next set, because the next set is just around the corner for the English market. So as I mentioned before in a previous video, it looks like the English market is starting to stabilize, and we're not really seeing as many big swings or changes as we did in the past. That's just because, again, the market is starting to settle based on the quantity that we have currently out. People are definitely starting to think about prepping and planning for the future, which is really the only big thing that's causing those giant swings, just because something they know will be good later down the road is something they want to pick up now while they can, so that way they don't have to do it later and have that be subject to spikes later, which is then causing the spikes to happen earlier. So that's just a normal thing on how the market tends to react. But overall, it does seem like things are starting to settle and calm down, and as Special Booster 1.5 is just around the corner, it definitely is going to put a lot more attention on Special Booster 1.5, so that might make some of the 1.0 cards fall, especially when more stock will eventually come of Special Booster 1.0. But it's always nice to see what's happening in Japan and compare it to what's happening in English, and it's always nice to see what's happening in English as well in terms of how the market is doing and how the market is holding. So just a friendly reminder, I do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. So whenever you use that link to buy cards and check out, then some of that money will end up going to helping support me and the channel. But outside of that, that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you in the next video.